Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jenna Delatorre. Thank you for joining us. We start with a new development into the audit of the 2020 presidential election here in Arizona. In a letter sent today to the Department of Justice, Election Security and Administration, experts at the Brennan Center, Protect Democracy, and the Leadership Conference asked for federal monitors to be dispatched immediately to the site of the third audit of Maricopa County's 2020 election results, which are being conducted by the Arizona State Senate and its agents, which include the firm Cyber Ninjas. After reviewing the methods in Cyber Ninja's statement of work and press reports, the experts write ballots that are protected under federal law are in danger of being stolen, defaced, or damaged, and Arizona citizens could be subject to unlawful voter intimidation. The Biden administration and the FDA have created a new push to protect kids from tobacco addiction by proposing a ban on menthol cigarettes. The Flavors Hook Kids Phoenix Coalition is a grassroots campaign to educate the community on the health risks associated with smoking, and it's a big supporter of the new legislation. Joe Uhas, the local director, says that it'll take some time to bring the sale of menthol products nationwide to an end, but in turn will speed up the process of getting flavored tobacco, usually marketed to kids, out of the city. Water officials in Arizona say they're prepared to lose about 1/5 of the water the state gets from the Colorado River in what could be the first mandated cut. Arizona stands to lose more than any other state in the Colorado River Basin. That's because Arizona agreed long ago to be the first in line for cuts in exchange for funding a canal system to deliver the water to the state's major cities. Another immigration bill from the Biden administration is being introduced to the Senate, targeting undocumented farm workers. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Vlahovic talked to advocates about its strengths and weaknesses.
These Arizona farm workers never stop.
They don't even get minimum wage. They get like $300 a week for working like 6 days a week.
And for Laura Bay of the immigration advocacy group Aliento, that hard work could be rewarded. A new bill that could give legal status to undocumented farm workers just passed in the House.
Especially the ones that are undocumented here, they will be able to go visit their families. They will be able to, I would say, to move on in life.
So here's how the bill would work. Any undocumented worker that has worked in the field for at least 180 days within the past 2 years gets a temporary legal status. This gives them the ability to work and live legally in the United States temporarily. Undocumented farm workers that have worked for 10 years or more would get a green card in 4 years. This would allow them to live and work in the United States permanently, but with no voting rights. Workers that have been here for less than 10 years would get a green card in 8 years. Jonathan Sorlozano is an immigration attorney in Phoenix, and with an estimated 73% of all farm workers being immigrants, he says that the bill has many elements that could shake the industry.
Arizona has a lot of agricultural workers, but not nearly as much as California does. So California has a big agricultural workforce that would really benefit from this. Arizona would too.
And one negative.
There's going to be a delay in time from when they apply for the temporary permit to when they get approved. So it might take 2 months, and during those 2 months, they won't be able to work.
And for Laura Bay, the negative is that it didn't come soon enough.
How come they didn't look at these farm workers before? The only reason that they're looking into this is because of like the labor that the farm workers were doing during the pandemic. So that makes me a little bit upset.
Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill allowing a new tax on Arizona Diamondbacks tickets and concessions to pay for stadium improvements. The legislation was requested by the Diamondbacks to advance the team's years-long quest to finance changes to Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. The legislation allows for a 9% tax on all sales in the stadium and a hotel the team could build on the property. However, critics say that the team should have to pay for its own stadium investments. Staying in the sports world, the Phoenix Suns have officially broken their 10-season NBA playoff drought. With a win over the Los Angeles Clippers Wednesday night, the Suns are steaming hot with a 44-18 record, and they've sparked national attention as a real contender for a deep run in the playoffs. They face the Utah Jazz tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Phoenix Suns Arena. And now a look back at some of our top stories from our sustainability team, from building a new water pipeline south of the valley to what's happening to the monarch butterfly population.
The Pascua Yaqui tribe in Tucson is the first community in Arizona to benefit from the U.S. Water Resource Development Act. The federal government will grant the Yaqui people $900,000 for a new water pipeline. Cronkite News reporter Caitlin Kinahan shares how the pipe will bring non-potable water hundreds of miles from Lake Havasu City.
The Pascua Yaqui tribe has been rooted in this land for generations.
My children now have played in these fields, have actually grown up in these fields, just like a lot of tribal members here. We have the summer leagues, and then we have the fall leagues. Right? The biggest hurdle was water. How do we keep these fields green, and how do you keep this whole community intact?
Future generations face a problem. In 15 years, the tribe fears that they'll run out of water.
They told us there is no water here. There is nothing here for you. Why did you accept the land? We accepted it because our forefathers had walked through these lands. This is where they wanted to make and create a place for us to be safe, to be healthy, and to be able to practice our faith.
Here are the plans that were produced for the project.
Now, a new government program could help the Yaqui tribe ensure their future on the land, with money for a new pipeline. The act funds rural communities to develop new revenues of water. Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton recognized the need in rural areas of Arizona, and specifically the Yaqui tribe.
It was a perfect project for this new program that we were able to create in Congress.
Right now, the tribe gets a limited amount of drinkable water from the city of Tucson.
Every single year, it's a struggle to meet that need. You know, our reservation, our population keeps growing.
And with more people, that means less water for things like gardening, laundry, and field upkeep.
This is a big issue across the state of Arizona, where we are using drinking water for purposes where we don't need to be using drinking water, and it's not a good use of drinking water.
The $1.2 million pipeline will bring the tribe water from the Central Arizona project. The pipeline's going to be installed nearly 6 feet underground, where it will span off and irrigate nearby parks, homes, and even the wellness center.
This just didn't happen overnight. This was probably over 2 years in the making. But in terms of boots on the ground time constructing this, you're looking at probably a 4-month time frame.
The construction will last a few months.
I want you to find the end with the cap on.
But the water source is expected to last for decades.
The elders used to tell us a saying, and it says, Enchi mampotawak. In Yaqui means, now it's in your hands. You're supposed to take care of it, nurture it, and develop it, and leave it for the next generation.
On the Pascua Yaqui Reservation in Tucson, Caitlin Kinahan, Cronkite News.
Monarch butterflies migrate to California and Mexico to winter every year, but over the past decade, their numbers have dwindled. Now there's a push to get them listed as an endangered species, but as Cronkite News reporter Riley Walter reports, there won't happen anytime soon.
It's easy to recognize a monarch butterfly with its orange and black wings. But finding monarchs these days isn't as easy as it once was. That's because monarch butterfly numbers continue to decline.
That kind of spectacular experience of being surrounded by thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of butterflies. People used to be able to experience that in California, and as of this year, we don't have that anymore.
Conservation groups petitioned to have the monarch listed as endangered in 2014. In December, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service announced that listing the monarch butterfly is, quote, warranted but precluded.
So it is now a candidate species, and that means we have to review its status every year to make sure nothing has changed either for the better or for worse. That's something that we will do. And then within the list of species that we have to determine whether or not they're going to be listed.
Western monarchs travel for months to spend the winters in California. The Xerces Society has tracked the monarchs for decades, and there used to be millions of butterflies that would winter in California. But for several years, those numbers have only been a few 100,000.
Monarchs at overwintering sites. And then 3 years ago in the fall, we counted less than 30,000. And so it was like a 10-fold drop. It shocked us.
Habitat loss, especially milkweed, is a major reason why the monarch population continues to decline. A female monarch butterfly lays her eggs on the leaf of a milkweed plant. Over a 2 to 5 week period, a female can lay between 300 and 500 eggs. The Desert Botanical Garden here in Phoenix is trying to increase awareness about monarchs and the importance of milkweed. In the past, they challenged the public to find milkweed and monarchs in their everyday lives. They also encourage the public to plant milkweed, which the garden grows multiple species of.
I think monarch conservation is such an important gateway to other types of conservation. So people love monarch butterflies. They have stories about monarch butterflies. It's a very recognizable and charismatic creature.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service plans to propose to list the monarch butterfly as endangered in 2024. Riley Walter, Cronkite News.
To help preserve western monarchs, the Ducey Society also recommends avoiding pesticides, planting native milkweed and wildflowers, and engaging community science projects.
The Caldecott Medal for Most Distinguished American Picture Book for Children was established in 1937. It's taken 83 years for an Indigenous artist to receive the medal. I spoke with illustrator Michaela Gold about the value of proper representation. Michaela Gold is the first Native American to win the prestigious Randolph-Caldecott Medal for her illustrations in We Are Water Protectors, a children's book inspired by Indigenous-led movements across North America.
Children are seeing what we are telling them is important and valued. So if we can give them diversity and inclusion, that helps not only, like in my case, since I work in Indigenous Kidlit, it not only helps Indigenous children feel seen and valued and important, it also helps non-Indigenous children and adults see a whole range of lived experiences.
The book shows Indigenous activists who led protests like the one by the Standing Rock Sioux tribe against the Dakota Access Pipeline.
I really wanted to make Standing Rock water protectors and water protectors around the world proud, and I wanted them to feel seen. And then within that, there's a lot of other elements I wanted to bring forward and really speak for Mother Earth.
Her goals were to give Indigenous people an authentic voice, highlight the beauty of nature, and the need to work together.
Indigenous people really protect and are stewards of the land, and they protect so much of the world's biodiversity. And so I think listening to them and taking their lead and helping support them and learning how to be an ally is incredibly important.
Sean George is a South Region manager for the Phoenix Public Library System. He says it's important for Indigenous people to be correctly represented in books.
I myself am mixed blood Choctaw and Muskogee, as well as European American heritage. So it's it's a very important topic to me. People come to literature for a lot of different reasons, but very often it involves looking for some sort of reflection of our own experience in what we read so that we can feel some sort of affirmation or validation, but also important is to see the rest of the world, or perhaps other worlds outside of our experience.
George, a former youth librarian, says children have been hurt by Native American stereotypes.
I've known children that have expressed a lot of pain and frustration over seeing books that describe or represent Indigenous people and children as less than, or books about the frontier where they're treated, the stereotypes of savages and things like that. And that really does. I mean, I've known children who have said that's not the way our culture is. That's not the way my family is. That's not the way my grandparents were.
That's why George appreciates Gold's work.
To see a book show you a mirror when you've gone so long and never seen one, it's a huge impact. So very personal.
So I've heard from a lot of wonderful people, and I do think it's inspiring, Native youth and non-Native youth. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because I might be the first, but I definitely won't be the last. And that is a really, really wonderful thing.
And that's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for Break It Down. That's next. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.